everybody, Dacob here. Welcome back to the Fashion Bunker. Everything is white. There's nothing to be seen. Well, because I'm finally getting to what I've been promising that I would do since months now, and that is an updated Chanel brooch collection overview. Let's begin with the oldest of the brooches. It's a vintage one. It's Chanel from 1994. Yes, made in France. There we have the little labeling. So this is kind of Byzantine / Egyptian style, gripois, poured glass and goussin for the metal. Gold, I don't know if it's plated or gold toned, but it's a beautiful one. And the glass, the poured glass is in different shades and hues of burgundy, kind of wine, purple, and red, or blood red. So this one is, let's put it there, is the oldest in terms of not when I purchased it, but how old it kind of is in terms of production of the brand. Now, you will see that it's also interesting that the first brooch I showed is a cross brooch. It's a part of Chanel's kind of heritage, of Chanel's vocabulary, language. There are a lot of Maltese crosses and crosses in general, whether they be Byzantine, mostly Byzantine crosses. They're not religious per se, it's just a symbol that she liked to use very much. This is the first brooch I actually got from a Chanel boutique. This is Fall/Winter 2003. This one is made in France. There's this little authenticity stamp right there. This is COCO herself. It's like a little candy. It's so delicious. This is a resin that is polished to get all the colors out. Each one of these colors wasn't just printed on top of the resin, but is another layer of resin itself within the entire kind of rounded brooch shape. This is Coco Mademoiselle around the 30s, I would say. She has been kind of stylized, taken from a photo. On the photo that this brooch was inspired from, she's actually laying down like this on a sort of chaise lounge of sorts. Moving on to the next one, thinking time-wise, this one is very interesting. What was it, 2009-ish or 10-ish? It's a really big chunky brooch from the Paris-London collection. And hence we have the Chanel Double C and the Union Jack flag on it. This is metal, and then we have enamel filling in the gaps in red and blue. This one comes with a sort of a cord, and it turns into a necklace, and you can kind of hook it around your neck. But I'm not going to show that piece now because we're just showing the brooches. So I'm not. This one is multifunctional, so when you purchase it, you do get the little blue thing with it. You could put it down through here. It becomes a choker rather than a necklace. It's very, very tight and short around the neck. But other than that, you could wear it as a brooch, and it's very, very big. You could see it's almost the size of a palm. It's a very, very chunky one, and it can only fit very, very thick lapels. It can only fit, jackets out of wool, no light materials, unless you don't want to play with texture and kind of attach it to, let's say, a white cotton t-shirt and then just let it hang off the t-shirt and maybe even rip the t-shirt a little bit if you want that punky kind of Brit punk look to go with it. Why not? It's a Union Jack flag after all. That's the Double C. I don't have many Double C brooches in the collection. I know most people just kind of try to hunt down almost everything that has to do with the Double C and Chanel. I really am very, very picky, as you're going to see. I love my Chanel, but I'm very picky when it comes to all of the accessories, small leather goods, bags, apparel, what have you. It has to really talk to me in a way. This is one that spoke to me incredibly. 2004, spring summer 2004, the music collection. I also have the music tape clutch from this collection and many other accessories. This is a tiny cassette tape brooch. This one's made in Italy. Unfortunately, I love my brooches made in France. You will see, I think around 4 brooches only in my collection are made in Italy. Every other Chanel brooch I have is made in France. The entire music collection, as far as pieces that I could find back in the day in the Chanel boutiques and later on secondhand, were made in Italy. Even the Chanel clutch bag is made in Italy. This one has a couple of, they're not Swarovskis, but they're kind of rhinestones of sorts in red, and then 2 are in a light blue at the bottom here. A lot of craftsmanship went into this one. A lot of bits and pieces are screwed together by hand. It wasn't so easy to make. And it's also not easy to focus, as I'm noticing now, but there's the stamp that states that it's made in Italy, spring summer 2004. I actually managed within time to hunt down a second tape as well. So I do have 2 of them. The more music tapes I have, the better. We can have a full collection of Chanel music. Another music piece, if you have music tapes, you also need a couple of vinyls. This is a Chanel vinyl brooch, metal, enamel, and then we have resin. And you could also hook it up in the back to a necklace and let it hang off your neck, or you could just use it as a brooch. Here's the authenticity stamp. This one was also made in Italy. As I mentioned, just like all of these music pieces, they're all made in Italy. This one's very heavy and very particular shape. It's not so easy to wear this one. You really have to kind of figure out how you want to combine it with clothes, because it's so, as you can see, most of these Chanel, even the music tapes, where are they? They have rounded edges. Everything is quite organic when it comes to Chanel. But this one kind of isn't, except for the vinyl. The rest, the edges are very, very kind of square. So you have to play with it to combine it nicely with the rest of your wardrobe. This is the tiniest Chanel brooch ever made. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's even smaller, but then there would be pins. But this one is still a brooch. You could still open it in the back. This one is also made in Italy. This is the last made in Italy piece. Hand painted enamel. This is Coco Chanel on a motorbike with a little tiny crystal there. And off she goes into the sunset with a little double C on her Harley Davidson. Adorable piece, very 3-dimensional, as you could see her little leg there. Her hat. This is the back of the brooch. Very, very interesting piece. Super tiny. Loving it. Just, you know, as whimsical as it is, but it's super tiny. It's really difficult. I mean, when you wear it, you're like the only person that actually knows you're the only person who's going to know that you have it on, really, because you really have to come very close to see what it is, which has its pros as well. It's kind of an interesting thing. Only people you let really come close to you, that are more intimate with you, get to see it. This is a very special piece. It's a huge brooch. It's also very heavy. It was produced in this kind of dark silver, like a black ruthenium silver, as well as gold. Wheat, one of Chanel's biggest symbols of prosperity and good luck and fortune, the wheat. Here you have 3 of them with little tiny crystals all over the place to make it look like wheat in the morning when it's still kind of humid in the air, and they kind of sparkle off and set off a bit of the wet over them. It's a very big brooch. This one was made in France. Spring Summer 2010 is the collection. Here you have its little stamp. And this one, due to the fact that it's so heavy, and so big, you could see almost fills the entire palm of the hand, you have to also wear it with very heavy clothing, thicker wools. Even though this was a summer piece, you know, Chanel is famous for their boucles and tweeds, and they're usually, even in summer, even if they're made in cotton, not just in wool, they're quite sturdy, and then you could wear these brooches. It's very, very, very heavy, but it's such a beautiful brooch, and also a testament to the craftsmanship of the Chanel ateliers. This is costume jewelry, not real jewelry, and yet they put so much effort into making it as luxurious as costume jewelry gets. So let's put this one here. This is the second and last Chanel double C brooch that I have. The Paris Shanghai collection was, well, there's a lot of dragon scale inspiration, and this is a gorgeous piece from Gusan with hand-poured enamel. It's kind of glittery. I don't know if the camera is capturing it with this light, but the red and the black have little glitter speckles in them, mixed in the enamel. And the idea is that the double C is made out of dragon scales or dragon skin. It's really gorgeous. I mean, what can I say? I mean, you either love it or you don't like it, or you hate it, but to me it was love at first sight. Back in the day, they did make two colorways. There was a silver version with kind of jade green and I want to say black scale colors. And then there was this gold metal version with Bordeaux and black. To me, this is quintessential Chanel, gold, black, and Bordeaux. Bordeaux because, of course, we know it also fills, it's the interior color of the 255 bag. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I had to get this one. And I was really lucky because this one ended up on sale in the Chanel boutique. So I did get it 50% off as well. That's my big, also quite heavy, Métier d'Art Dragon Scale Chanel brooch. So let's put that there. Chanel went to Dallas. They had a fashion show in Dallas, and this is kind of the sheriff Chanel, Coco Chanel as a sheriff, you know, in Dallas. That's what this kind of looks like. The interesting thing about this collection, on the runway we had a lot of Native American influences, as well as, you know, the American cowboy influences, but most of them were Native American. And I thought that was really cool of the Chanel brand to express more of, you know, the respect towards the Native American heritage, culture, and artistry. You could call it cultural appropriation because a French brand is kind of taking inspiration from another culture and creating a collection. But at the end of the day, what I think is interesting and important about this collection is that they brought back into fashion the consideration, and they kind of, you know, they woke up their viewers and their clients to the topic of Native Americans and the fact that there's such an incredible culture there. And yes, you could call it cultural appropriation because at the end of the day, if you buy one of those pieces, you're paying Chanel for them. None of that money is probably going to go to any association that, I don't know, helps to preserve Native American culture. But at least it awakens the thought, and it kind of instigates a communication and initiates a talking process. So I applaud them for that, at least. So that's this one was also available in gold, gold tone. It's costume jewelry, not real gold. This is kind of a ruthenium darker silver version. Oh no, this is actually the last made in Italy piece. Sorry, not the one before. This one is made in Italy as well. Classic Chanel. This is a Maltese cross. It's kind of a cross in a cross. We have seen a lot of this, especially in the early 90s. Karl Lagerfeld had a lot of wonderful accessories with a lot of poured glass in the 90s. The Maltese cross is a cross in a cross. So what we have here is, this is one cross, and then the Maltese cross has kind of like points poking out on the sides. This is a more transformed version of a Maltese cross. It's a symbolic version of a Maltese cross mixed with Byzantine influences. I remember when I did the unboxing of this one, a lot of you told me, oh, Dacob, but it looks, I don't know, like it has flaws, it's all bent. Yes, it's meant to be that way. It's done on purpose that way. These are very rudimental and old school techniques to create brooches. This is something you do not do today anymore. Actually, most ateliers don't even know how to do this anymore. This technique of pouring the metal, of creating a kind of a cast for it and punching it out. It's a very brutal technique to create these brooches, but Chanel loved that. It's a very Byzantine approach to it, and Byzantine jewelry, this is costume jewelry, but the jewelry was like this. They did not have those special machines that we have today to create incredible cuts and everything looks so symmetric and proportional. This is organic. This still feels like somebody in the atelier was hammering onto this, creating it like there's no tomorrow. And it is a brutal process, but at the end, what comes out is very fragile. And I love that paradox, that juxtaposition of that brutality with the delicate aspect of the fact that these are glass pearls. They're coated, they're very delicate, you could scratch them very easily. The poured glass with this blood red. You don't even see it. I would have to illuminate the brooch from behind for you to see how gorgeous this blood red is. And then we have these purple hues, and then the pearls attached. And of course, it's like a brooch that's cut in half. You have one cross on this side and the other totally there. So if we were to cover this half, this is kind of like one brooch. And then if we twist it around, this would be another totally different brooch. Wonderful, wonderful game. So it's actually, gosh, 4 different crosses in one. This one is made in France, obviously, Goussan, Atelier, and Grépoi, the poured glass. Loving this one. Very, very heavy, very delicate. You have to be very careful not to damage it while you're wearing it. My favorite in terms of whimsical Chanel brooches, it's a little tiny Aztec alien. It's a really tiny brooch. A lot of work and craftsmanship went into this one. All these little mini pearls that you can barely see, really. They're here on the ears of this little alien or on its legs. Then it has a bit of stone. One eye, that's a stone actually. This is a glass pearl. And then we have enamel on top of it. No, it's actually resin, not enamel. Sorry, guys. And then we have poured glass on top. This one is made in France. A lot of work went into this one, especially because it's so miniature. So you need so much attention to detail in order to achieve this sort of perfection, to create something so tiny and so beautiful at the same time. It does have a double C there, but it didn't really need that. I don't know. I love the fact that both sides here are asymmetric. This kind of branching out is different as opposed to that type of branching out over there of the little arms or whatever have you. Very Twin Peaks inspired. It's the evolution of the arm, guys. Also, yes, I said Aztec, but also Byzantine inspired. There's a lot of Byzance elements, the way this little kind of crown or head is shaped, mixed in there, as well as these little kind of legs, these anthropomorph or whatever you want to call these little tiny toes. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. This one is 2016, fall winter 16. Then we move on to, I think the next one is from spring summer 17, resin and glitter captured inside of resin, as well as a metal double C. And the metal double C has a lot of rhinestones covering it, little crystals covering it. It's all, as you can see, encapsulated inside of the resin. So there's no losing the glitter, there's no losing the crystals or anything. That's how it works. And in the back, even that's a new, relatively new for Chanel. They used to just attach these little plaques on top of the resin. Now it's inside of the resin, hence it can never fall out anymore, which is great. This one states that it's made in France, spring summer 17. It's a little rocket. Boom, and off we go. So you can see 2003 fall winter. That's how they used to do the plaques. They kind of just press them inside of the resin, but it's not coated and covered resin, so that can fall out if you're not careful. Now they have stepped it up. They've stepped up their game, and the little logos are sealed inside of the resin. That is really, really good. That's the little rocket launcher. Or the little no, actually not a rocket launcher. It's the rocket itself. Also spring summer 17. This piece is very special. It hasn't received much love. I've seen it. It even ended up on sale. It's from the computer kind of room collection, prêt-à-porter. It's like a computer board, and then they've added these pluses. It looks like a, you know, like playing, what, tic-tac-toe? No, not tic-tac-toe. Yeah, no, that is like tic-tac-toe. And then you have the poured glass on the 2 X's, and then you have enamel, poured enamel on the 2 O's. And then the double C, it's an interesting juxtaposition of gold and silver. The motherboard, this kind of matelassé structure, is silver, but the rest is gold. Very, very interesting. And the double C is attached to it. As you can see, it's 3-dimensional. And you could see in the back, the 2 little holes that were used to kind of glue the double C to them. And then you have the little stamp. This one was made in France. I like how Chanel mixes their gold with the silver. This is a special type of gold that Chanel developed. It's called beige gold. It's a very light gold. Yes, they save money on not, you know, gold plating like they used to back in the 80s, 90s, but it's still a very, very symbolic Chanel type of gold. So where do we put this one? Maybe here. Fall Winter 17. I am in love with this one. This is just so majestic. It's like a universe. I mean, it's like a space travel collection. The Pret-a-Porter Fall Winter 17 was space travel based, also very space age. These brooches were made in several colors. There was like a white version and then there was a blue version, which you see here. It's like a galaxy. I would need a different lens to be able to zoom in even closer, but you could check out on my Instagram and scroll down a couple of months. I have photographed these with a special lens really in a close-up. The entire kind of powdery, glittery effect that they created inside of this resin is incredible. It's like a universe in itself. This particular brooch really needs to be seen up as close as possible in real life. I mean, even the photos that I've taken on Instagram with a special lens, they just don't do it justice. No video does it justice. This one really works only live. So if you ever do come across one of these brooches from the Fall Winter 17 collection, also, you know, made in France, I think this was also Gusan. Then you have these poured resins that encapsulate in each one of these bubbles, literally a universe on its own. I mean, if you don't have the budget to purchase them, okay, but just to see them is such a treat in real life, really. It's like a super special treat. So that's I don't know, the bursting star, maybe you could call it, or I don't know how to call it. Wait, what are we going to put here? Let's put it there. And now for the grand finale, this one here. It's a gorgeous, these big chunky crystals were made extra for this brooch. Chanel usually takes them quite a bit to make them. They have done something similar in the 90s with special sunglasses that Claudia Schiffer wore on the runway, where huge rhinestones were used to cover the lens, not the lenses, the frames of the sunglasses. And this is, in this brooch, it's kind of a similar situation. You could see this is a very particular brooch. By the way, you could check all of these brooches have their own reviews on my channel. I will post the links in the description box down below, but also at the end of this video. This one in particular also has its unboxing. I've explained it in the video, but I could briefly touch base on it here as well. This is again, a Maltese cross, because we have the bigger cross here, and then these kind of pointy bits do represent the Maltese cross. However, due to the fact that the collection, Fall Winter 17, was inspired by space travel and space age style, what is so fascinating is that the design team was allowed, or whoever designed this piece, was allowed to really consider how, if in the Byzantine times, because it's also a Byzantine cross, if in the Byzantine times they had a notion of the future, and if they had a chance to think about how the future would look like, and to create a collection of costume jewelry inspired by how the future would look like. I don't even know if in Byzantine times they had a concept of future at all, but this is what this brooch is about. This brooch is about using antique techniques to create jewelry and using kind of a notion of the style of the antique and trying to imagine if in the Byzantine times they had a notion of future, how would they think that future design would look like? So this is as if a Byzantine person created a brooch for the future or from the future. That's why this one is so fascinating to me. So beautifully executed. This one is made in France. The bigger, chunkier crystals are painted in gold in the back so that they kind of look more silvery in the front. These are translucent or transparent, while these, you see, they look almost like mirrors in the back. These are also very, very beautiful, and they reflect light like crazy, you can imagine, because they're so huge. This one's also quite heavy, so you need to wear quite heavy clothes if you don't want it to kind of bend forward on a t-shirt or fall off, heaven forbid, worst case scenario. So let's put that one there. So that would be it, guys. This is my updated, and this one is kind of reflecting light in the wrong way. There you go, rocket. This will be my updated brooch collection as of now, summer 2018. as you can see, it's not a lot. I mean, it's not little either. It's a very respectable amount, but I just don't want to overdo it. I don't want to have hundreds and hundreds of brooches. What I love forever. I do not believe in such a thing as seasonal fashion. If I fall in love with a piece, I fall in love with it forever. There's no reason to not like it less just because 1 year has passed and the brand is trying desperately to, you know, push on you new designs and new styles that you need to buy. They want to make you believe like you have to have even more. You don't. When you find something you love, be happy that you found it and stick to it. I mean, I love all of these brooches in the same way. Some of them I wear more, some less. That also depends on the clothes I have on. You definitely need to always consider that you are the person wearing these brooches. These brooches have to accentuate who you are. You are not, it's not like they are wearing you. You are wearing them. And if you think that way, and if you choose whatever you purchase that way, you're going to end up buying less, but you're going to choose better. And that is much, much better in the long run in terms of overproduction of things and overconsumption. I mean, mind you, this is a collection that has been growing for over, gosh, almost 20 years now. So it's not, you know, some people get this amount of brooches in a day. This is almost 20 years of growth. Well, let's say 15 to 20 years of growth. It takes its time. It's like a good wine. It needs that time and it doesn't need to grow too quickly. So if you have just one, it's fine. If that's the one you love, that's the one you love. You don't need any more. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you wish to help support the channel and see exclusive content, special videos and photos that are not available on YouTube, you can go to Patreon, Super Dacob, all spelled together. You could pledge on Patreon, become a patron of the Fashion Bunker, and have access to exclusive footage as well as photos. Also, if you wish to stay only with YouTube, that's fine as well. In that case, please consider subscribing to my channel here on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, Super Dacob, all spelled together. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't ever forget to never give up on love. Love you. Bye.